Namaste. Did you ever notice how much of our conception of our life is based on abstractions? What is an abstraction? It's a symbol, a metaphor, an image. It's not the thing that it stands for. It's something else. It's an abstraction. An abstraction is the reality with a lot of the details left out. And those that are retained are simply of a functional nature. For example, numbers. If we had to talk about numbers all the time in concrete ways, we would always, we'd still be with the abacus, We wouldn't have computers. We wouldn't have space shuttles or any of that scientific stuff. We would still be basically, prehistoric, because history is also symbolic, abstract, name and form only. It's not the truth. It can't be the truth because the words are not the things they represent. No symbols are. And I think one of the problems with the Vedic path is that it's totally symbolic. It's totally based on abstractions. And it's based on language and symbols, etc., etc. If you understand the symbols, that's fine. But if you don't, you're in trouble. You can't operate the machine. So what's nice about the Qigong path is that it dispenses with all these symbols and it directs you inward to contemplate the life force, the living energy, the prana, the chi in your own body. This is direct. It doesn't have to go through any symbolic representation or ontological system or philosophical speculations about this and that. It is complete in the moment as it is. All you have to do is sit there and watch your breath. Duh. It's dead simple. So it's very well suited for the crippled brains of Kali Yuga because there's no symbology, there's no abstraction, there's no philosophy to get wrong. Sit there, watch the breath. That's it. And this will lead you gradually to the highest realizations of the self as Paramatma, Hiranyagarbha, Virat, whatever you want to call it. The universal self, Brahman, Nibbana, Nirvana, enlightenment. There's so many names for it. Vaikuntha. On and on and on. These are all abstractions. They are not the things they represent. All the identities of the different gods, Rama and Krishna and Shiva and Shakti and all of that are abstractions. They represent something. And what do they represent? The living force in our own bodies. Through this living force, you can connect with the universal living force. That's yoga, another abstraction. But if you do the practice, it just happens. You don't even have to know. In fact, in the Zen history, there are many examples of students who attained enlightenment without knowing that they were enlightened. And the master had to tell them, actually, you're enlightened. And they're so, come on, don't joke with me. I'm just the way I was before. Yes, and that's the point. You don't have to change. You don't have to transform. You don't have to adjust. You don't have to acquire anything. You don't have to lose anything. You don't have to renounce anything. You don't have to accept anything. Just sit and watch the breath. Now, yes, there are all kinds of accessories and methods and tricks of the trade, as in any discipline, as in any kind of work. There's shop talk. Shop talk means a specialized vocabulary for talking about the things that we got to do to get the work done. So a carpenter's shop talk is different from an electrician's shop talk, and a philosopher's shop talk is different from a yogi's shop talk. And a Qigong practitioner's shop talk is also different and unique to that discipline. So we don't try to superimpose any other shop talk on our Qigong practice. We just sit and watch the breath. Now, sitting is not a simple thing. To sit nicely, you have to develop your seat, your sitting posture, your asana. Asana means seat. So the yoga asanas, for example, the postures of the yoga system, hatha yoga, are meant to be held for long periods of time because they're asanas, they're seats. So you should sit in them and watch the breath. Walking, watch the breath. Eating, watch the breath. Talking, watch the breath. Going to the bathroom, watch the breath. Whatever you do, watch the breath. Anapanasati. That means mindfulness of breathing. So to be mindful of breathing doesn't require any abstractions, and no symbols, no puja, no offerings, no philosophy, no nothing. You simply be, which you already are, and watch the breath. And amazingly enough, that leads to the highest. What is the highest? Well, we're experiencing it every day now. Now we have a small team and we're doing the Qigong exercises. Everyone is benefiting according to their degree of expertise in doing the exercises. So I'm going to show these exercises. I'm going to make videos on it. First, I want to have 2 or 3 students trained up because you'd probably much rather look at them than look at me. Even though I'm an old man, I'm still in good shape. But I just don't look so pretty, that's all. Anyway, you'll be able to watch them go through the exercises and hopefully start doing them yourself. Because this is not a philosophy. This is not armchair speculation. This is not a symbol. This is not an abstraction. This is sit and watch the breath. Sit. Just to sit nicely, you have to stretch out the hips. We have all been ruined by Western education, sitting on a hard wooden chair 6 to 8 hours a day, with knees close together. That will ruin your hips and your lower back. So that means you all have to go through some therapy before you can sit and watch the breath. Yeah, you can sit in a chair, but it's not the same. A good yoga asana is like body language for I am independent, I am complete, I am whole. I am this. I am alive. I am the chi. I am the living force. And that identification with the living force is what brings you to enlightenment. That's what brought Buddha to enlightenment. If it's good enough for him, it's good enough for us. So, first you have to learn how to sit. That means you have to do all the regular yoga asanas. So we are going to present those here in good time, as soon as I lose a little weight and train up a couple of boys. So when we get to that point, we'll be sharing those exercises. And once the chi channels in the hips are open, the chi can flow naturally, and we can start sharing the Qigong exercises themselves. That's a later stage. Now, there are going to be some rascals who are going to try the chi exercises without doing the preliminary warm-ups. I know this from long experience. There's always some rascal who wants to jump up and do the advanced stuff, even though they're not qualified. And what happens? They injure themselves. And then they're hurting, and then they say, oh, this is no good. No, you are no good. You did it wrong. You didn't follow the instructions. So to avoid injury, you must do the yoga stretches, ordinary yoga asanas, while watching the breath. And then you will be qualified for the actual Qigong exercises that come later. So, take advantage of this system. It's a life without abstractions, without symbols. Direct touch with the living force, which is everything. So who would not want this? And who would not benefit from it? I think we all have a great deal to learn from Qigong. And we should all practice it. And don't forget, retain the Jing. Don't throw the energy. Keep it. And of course, in the beginning, you're not going to be able to do it. And so you'll make comments like, this is impossible. Why are you teaching us this stuff which we can't do? You can't do because you don't know how. Nobody ever showed you. Your mom or dad never sat down with you and had the conversation of how you do it. I was lucky. My mother was a tantrika. And as soon as she saw that I was interested in sex, she gave me books and so on and explained everything. So I followed those instructions, and it benefited me in so many ways. I can't begin to describe. Well, I could begin to describe it. It made me intelligent, for one thing. It gave me a solid core that I know what's good for me, and I don't have to accept any bullshit from school and teachers and media and all this nonsense that's thrown at us every day. I reject it all. Why? It's all symbolic. It's all abstractions. It's all nonsense. It's all bullshit. It has nothing to do with reality. Man-made abstractions. Countries, corporations, money. I mean, the whole thing is nonsense. Just symbols, just abstractions. Throw it, and keep the Jing. That's the real thing.